The autumn breeze carried a familiar scent, one that reminded Emily of a time she long tucked away in the depths of her heart. The city had changed in a year since she last walked these streets, yet some things remained the same, like the way the golden leaves blanketed the sidewalks, or how the coffee shop on the corner still smelled of cinnamon and fresh pastries. She had returned to her hometown for a book signing, her latest novel garnering more success than she had ever imagined. And yet, as she walked past the small bookstore that once held so many of her dreams, she felt a strange ache, an echo of a past she had thought was buried. James. His name still held weight in her heart, even after all these years. Their love had been the kind that burned bright, passionate, and unyielding. But youth had a way of making promises it couldn't keep, and time had pulled them apart in ways neither of them had expected. Emily sighed, shaking off the memories as she pushed open the door to the cafe where she had agreed to meet an old friend. The bell above the door jingled, and she stepped inside, savoring the warmth that greeted her. She barely had time to settle before a voice, deep and unmistakable, sent a shiver down her spine. Emily? Her breath caught. She turned slowly, and there he was, James. He stood just a few feet away, holding a cup of coffee, his dark eyes filled with the same quiet intensity she remembered. Time had changed him, his shoulders broader, his face a little more rugged, but there was something about him that still felt achingly familiar. James, she whispered, her voice barely audible. For a moment, they simply stared at each other, the weight of years apart pressing down on them. Then, as if drawn by an invisible force, they moved closer, the past rushing back in waves neither of them could stop. I heard you were back in town, he said finally, offering her a hesitant smile. I didn't expect to run into you here. Emily let out a soft laugh, shaking her head. Neither did I. Silence stretched between them, filled with unsaid words and lingering emotions. Finally, James gestured toward a nearby table. Would you like to sit? Catch up. She hesitated for only a moment before nodding. I'd like that. They sat across from each other, the cafe bustling around them, yet it felt like they were the only two people in the world. They talked about her books, about his business, about the years that had passed between them. But beneath the polite conversation lay the unspoken question. What had gone wrong between them? As if reading her mind, James sighed, running a hand through his hair. Emily, I've thought about you so many times over the years. I wanted to reach out, but I wasn't sure if I should. She swallowed hard, gripping her coffee cup. I thought about you too, more than I care to admit. He smiled, a little sad but hopeful. We were young. We made mistakes. But that doesn't mean what we had wasn't real. Emily nodded, a lump forming in her throat. It was real, and it was beautiful. Silence stretched between them again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was filled with understanding, with the possibility of something new. James reached across the table, his fingers brushing against hers. Maybe this time we don't let go so easily. Her heart pounded, but instead of fear, she felt hope. Maybe love didn't always get it right the first time. Maybe, just maybe, they were meant for a second chance. With a soft smile, she entwined her fingers with his. Maybe this time we get it right. And just like that, the past melted away, leaving only the promise of what could be.